So while I was on holiday in the incredible city of York the other week, I stumbled across an amazing retro gaming shop called Sore Thumb, and the owner was really kind and let me take my camera there, so I am so excited to share with you all this incredible retro gaming shop. Let's get straight into it. So let's take the camera inside and have a look at everything the shop has to offer. So on the first shelf here we have some NES games on the left there, and then some GameCube games up the top. So many great games there. Tony Hawk's Underground 2, Star Fox Adventures as well, Rare's last console game for Nintendo, SSX3, another one of my favourite games from that generation. There was also a load of great NES games on the left there, which you can see a bit more clearly here. Things like Boulder Dash there, the McDonald's game for the NES, which I always thought was really fun, Marble Madness, an absolute classic, and below there were some consoles as well, really nicely wrapped up. And then on the left of that shelf we have all of these SNES and N64 games, so let's take a look at some of those. We can see Stunt Race FX, one of my favourite games on the SNES there, as well as Micro Machines 2 Turbo, another brilliant game for the SNES. I also saw 1080 Snowboarding just go off the left there, and again at the bottom, one of my favourite games for the N64. Such a brilliant snowboarding game. There's also Flashback there, an incredible atmospheric cinematic adventure for the SNES, and Quantum Fighter as well for the NES, a really cool action platformer. And now for some unboxed games. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just having a quick flick through some of the loose SNES games here so that you can see what they had to offer. There was also a few American games there that you can see as well, and there were some really interesting games in there as well, like Prince of Persia, Mario All-Stars, and they all seemed in great condition and really reasonably priced too. And the same could be said here for these loose NES games here as well, so take a look at some of these. I kind of regret not picking this one up called To the Earth. I'd never seen it before and it looked kind of interesting, but there was a great selection of games on offer. So let's take the camera to the other side of the shop now and check out these incredible display cabinets here on the right of the entrance. These cabinets were just chock full of really interesting games and really nice series of games as well. Like you can see on the right there, they had a whole section dedicated to Sonic the Hedgehog. There's some really interesting Mega Drive and Sega Saturn games in the middle there, some of which I did actually pick up, which I'll be showing in my pickups video, which I'll be posting next week. And then take a look at some of the other games on the cabinets here. There was a load more cabinets just to the right. One that really caught my attention was this one in the bottom left, where they actually stocked some homebrew games for the Dreamcast, which was really cool to see. So it's great that homebrew games and developers are actually getting their games out there into the real world now, and you don't just have to buy them off the internet. They also had a load of collectible items, as you can see here, with all of these Star Wars figures. And you might have seen in the intro that they also call themselves Sore Thumb Anime, as well as Sore Thumb Retro Games. And they definitely live up to the anime name as well. So if you love your anime, if you love collecting anime figures, then they had a fantastic wide selection here just above these cabinets. And at the back we have a really nice selection of boxed controllers and consoles. There's a really nice Mega Drive in the box there, as well as a Sega Saturn and a few Dreamcast accessories like the Dreamcast keyboard there. In the cabinet itself there's a few Commodore 64s and ZX Spectrums and ZX81s. And to go with all those Dreamcast controllers, here's some Dreamcast games on this side here, including some more homebrew titles as well. Unfortunately, there was nothing that I didn't already have, because I am trying to get some more games for the Dreamcast. Also, on the right there, I was really interested to see that Supervision game, and I do kind of regret not picking that up as well. And as you can see on both sides as well, there's loads of game controllers for loads of various different systems. There was also a few consoles wrapped up on the side there, and they all say that they'd been tested and they all had really good prices too. So if you're ever in York and you're looking for a retro gaming console to take home with you on your holiday, then definitely come here and pick up one of those. And now for one of several impressive walls of games in this shop. This is the Sega Mega Drive wall, and as you can see it's just jam-packed with loads of Mega Drive classics and a load of sports games as well, unfortunately, so you do have to kind of pick through the sports games to find the gems in there, but there are definitely some gems. I see Micro Machines there, Virtua Racing in the middle, and then below there we have some PAL Sega Saturn games too. They did also have a few Japanese Sega Saturn games on the shelf just to the right, which I just missed out on filming unfortunately, but enjoy what you can see here anyway. There's also a load of loose cartridges down the bottom, just like there was on the other side of the room. So take a look at those as we're panning across here. And they also had a few wrestling DVDs and Blu-rays down in the corner as well. So if you're into your wrestling, that's something really unique for this store too. And then at the top here, another one of my favourite parts of the shop, this was the Sega Master System wall. Unfortunately, due to the bright lights in this shop and the fact that all of the games were actually wrapped individually, it did make it a little bit hard to pick out what some of the titles of the games were. Now, as we turn back round to the other side of the shop, there's a lot to take in here. There's a complete in-box Game Boy up the top there, and a Game Boy Advance above that. There's some N64 controllers down the side, and they were actually going all the way across the ceiling as well, which I didn't get in this shot. And now here's a close-up of this section here. There was actually a really interesting 30-in-1 Game Boy box there that I really wish I would have picked up, because I'm really into those sort of weird unlicensed Game Boy games. And now down here we have a whole load of DS, 3DS and Wii games. Nothing super exciting there from what I could pick out while I'm briefly looking through. A little bit more interesting here, there's some complete in-box Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color games there. Star X is kind of interesting, being a kind of Star Fox clone for the system. And if you thought that Mega Drive wall on the other side of the room was cool, just take a look at this incredible selection of PlayStation 1 games. There really is everything you could hope for here. There's a few games that are standing out as well. I think they've put some of the best ones facing forward. Of course, Tomb Raider right there, Vanishing Point on the right, a really cool game that I have on the Dreamcast. I wonder how the PS1 compares. Pong as well, a game that I used to have as a kid, and I really enjoyed that version. It's really over the top with all the crazy animations in the game. And then right at the back of this section here, we have a whole wall of PlayStation 2 games as well. Let me know down in the comments below if you've spotted any games that you would have picked up if you were in the shop right now. And of course, feel free to pause the video at any point and take in the amazing games on these shelves here. I spotted a few that I kind of wish I'd picked up there, the Juiced games in the middle. I've always wanted to try those. And as you can see as well, there's a load of accessories on the right there on the wall, a whole load of PlayStation Eye cameras, and you can kind of get a glimpse there as well of all the controllers that I said were going across those beams on the ceiling too. There were also a few more boxed consoles up there too, including an Atari 7800 and a Virtual Boy. And now the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 section. Again, loads of PlayStation 2 games here, far more than I can possibly cover in this video. And the same can be said for the PS3 games below it. I did pick up 2 games for the PS3, which you'll see in my pickups video coming very soon. And below there as well, you can see a few more anime figures. And now we move on to the original Xbox shelf, a console that I don't really know that much about. So let me know down in the comments, what games should I pick up for the original Xbox? It's another system that I've never really put that much thought into collecting before. And of course, there's a great selection there of Xbox 360 games as well. Loads of classic games on that system. And a few more 360 games here as well. There's a few that caught my eye here. Split Second on that bottom shelf there, that's a fantastic racing game. Of course, the Tomb Raider reboot, like I said in my PS3 video last week, is one of my favourite games of all time. I also noticed there's Sonic Free Riders for the Kinect, which I did have the pleasure of playing a while ago, and it really is as bad as people say it is. And now, quite possibly my favourite part of the shop, and that was these incredible display cabinets at the back here, all really nicely lit up with lights across the side. There was a great mix of really rare things in here, as well as a few more affordable items that are still really interesting. And as you can see there on the right too, they also had a few collectible figures as well. So now let's take a bit more of a closer look at some of the things in the cabinet. As you can already see on there over in the right, there's a whole load of really cool Final Fantasy games, a lot of really rare games there as well. Also down there we have Mega Man Battle and Chase. If only I'd seen that while I was making this video, I would have snapped that one up. And they also had some Philips CDI stuff at the bottom too, and I picked up something from there which I'll show off in the next video. Now next we have a few Pokemon things over on the left. I did pick up one of the Pokemon games, well my girlfriend did, but I'm sure she'll let me borrow it to show it off in the video. On the right as well we also have a load of really cool PlayStation 1 games. There's a Resident Evil shelf up there on the left. There's also Sly 3 for the PS2, a game that I really want, and Evil Dead behind it as well. And I also just noticed they had the Japanese Gunstar Heroes release for the system too, which is really cool. And there's also a load of other really interesting collectible items in there as well. And just around the corner there's some really nice Miku figures at the top there, as well as some big box PC and Amiga games, Dyna Blaster and Puzzle Bobble over there on the right, and Street Fighter 2 on the left as well. And then below that we have some Atari 2600 games, another system that I would love to try and get more stuff for in the future. And then just to the right of that again, we have a whole load of controllers hanging off the wall there, and another great selection of anime figures too. And now for the shelves next to the counter. First one here, we have some Game & Watch Watch games, some DS's, some Game Boys at the top, and they also had a Neo Geo Pocket Color as well. Now on the next one down we have some boxed Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, including 2 of the Castlevania double pack. It's rare enough to see one, so to see 2 was very surprising. Legend of the River King there as well, one of the best RPGs on the system, and a few more interesting loose games at the bottom as well. And now we have some more GBA and Game Boy Color games. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for the GBA is actually an incredible game. And now on these shelves here we have some ZX Spectrum games, some Commodore 64 games, just loads of cassette games that I don't really know that much about, so let me know what I should try and pick up for the Commodore 64 or the Spectrum. And there's also a whole load there of loose Atari 2600 games as well. Again, like I said, another system that I want to try and get more for. And now just a quick look here at the stuff behind the till. There were some loose games there in those plastic bags, and then underneath the counter, as every good game shop has, here's a look at some of the rarer loose cartridges that they stored underneath the till. They did also have some repros as well, but thankfully they did label them as such, so you don't need to worry about whether you're actually picking up an official game or not. And then on the lower shelf here we can see some Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games too. Feel free to stop the video and let me know in the comments if there's any that catch your eye. I can see a few interesting games there. It looks like the Infogenius personal organisers there on the third row back, and Bubble Bobble as well, an amazing conversion for the Game Boy. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any shops you want me to go and visit and film. If you own any retro gaming shops, let me know whether I can bring my camera and do one of these videos for you. If you'd like to see more retro gaming shops all across the UK, I've got a playlist up here, and I'm also building out a website where you can also have a look at maps for the different places too. Next week, I'll be showing you all of the amazing games that I picked up from the shop, so I really hope you're looking forward to that. See you all soon.